Who's excited for the MLB Futures Game? It's one of the best events on the baseball calendar all year long, and this year is an all-time stacked class. 9 of the top 10 prospects on MLB Pipeline are all playing in the game this year, as well as so many other great players that I'm hyped to watch on Sunday at noon on Peacock. If you guys are not already, please subscribe to the channel down below, drop this video a like, sound off in the comments, let me know who your favorite prospects are, and a special shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. Now here's the tier list right here, just to give you guys an overview of the tiers. We have the stars, then we have the dudes, then we have guys with big time tools that need polish, then we have good quality ball players. Then we have the riskier tier, which is set aside completely for starting pitchers. And then the bottom tier, we have risers. And just letting you guys know, one, I like to always do tiers in my prospect content because it's so hard to judge these guys one next to the other. So I think it helps a lot to group them all. I think it's fairer to them. I think it's just more fair in terms of analysis. And also, this is the futures game. All of the guys playing this game are really good prospects. So even as we get down to the 4th and 5th tiers, those are all still top 100 guys. And even the guys I put in my 6th tier, those are guys who I think are going to be top 100 guys as soon as next season. That's why they're the riser tiers, the hypes, the helium tier. Now starting off with the stars tier, we have Jesus Made from the Brewers, Eli Willits from the Nationals, Franklin Urias from the Red Sox, Leo DeVries from the Athletics, and Josue DePaula from the Dodgers. These are freaks. These guys are incredible. Again, future stars in this tier. But I want to start out with probably right now the near consensus number 1 prospect in the game, Jesus Made, shortstop in the Brewers organization. He's a 19-year-old who's already in AA. And this is coming off one of the best performances we've seen over the last few years in the Dominican Summer League. After that, he smashed low A and then smashed high A last year in his age 18 season, and even briefly took a cameo at AA last year. He looks like one of those special prospects that looks like he's plus in every area of his game. Speed, power, contact, defense, one of the strongest arms we've ever seen from an infield prospect, and just altogether a freaky, twitchy athlete to tie this whole thing together. At high A last year, he had some of the highest exit velocities ever recorded for an 18-year-old. He's a switch hitter, and he put the ball in play at least 110 miles per hour from each side of the plate. Like, it's so crazy for a dude this small to get to that much insane power, again, from both sides of the plate at this young, at that level. It's also amazing if you watch Made play that he gets to that power on swings and pitches that looks like there's no way whatsoever, no reason he should be hitting them that hard or that far. But he does it, and that's why he's such a freak. Like, look at this hilarious setup, load, and swing from him here. This is a video courtesy of Josh Norris from Baseball America. This is such pure, ridiculous athleticism. It's unbelievable. And I know right now in AA he does not have the best results so far, but I think a big goal for Made and the Brewers this year was to clean up his mechanics, just get smoother across the board. That's the same deal on defense where he really does rely on his arm, which again, right here, he's uncorking a 100-mile-per-hour throw from shortstop to let him do anything he wants kind of on that side of the ball. He definitely deserves the number 1 spot to me right now, but I do think there's an argument for basically any single guy in this tier to potentially be the number 1 prospect in baseball, which is where I get to Eli Willits, number 1 overall pick last year by the Nationals, becoming kind of a hipster stat line number 1 guy. And I'm happy to buy into the helium because since being the number 1 overall pick last year, he went right to pro ball, was playing there at 17 years old, and then right now, between low A and high A at just 18, he's been disgustingly good. With a 280, 420, 500 slash line split across both those levels with 12 home runs and 38 stolen bases in 69 games. With a really high walk rate and a strikeout rate that's very much in check. As far as H-level production, it doesn't get much better than what Willits is doing right now. And on top of that, he's a switch-hitting shortstop, which is exact type of archetype of player that you're always going to push up these lists. Here's his prospect savant page from low A as well. It's just beautiful, amazing power, great swing decisions, really good bat-to-ball ability. And like I said, at 18 years old, got called up to high A, hit 4 home runs in his first 4 games at that level. There's just no doubt whatsoever about this guy's speed, approach, and his defense. Just amazingly polished so far for a player this young, but the big question about Willits and whether or not he could ascend to being how I have him right here is like an inner circle top prospect in the game was power. But he's blasting home runs like this as one of the youngest players at his level with quick hands, compact swing from both sides. I really think the sky's the limit for him, and that's why he's in this tier for me. Next up, we have Franklin Urias, who's a huge riser this year. Looks like a future star in the Red Sox organization. Always fit the mold of a potential future top prospect as a really, really slick fielding shortstop who was a super duper athlete, but was more of a contact-oriented hitter. That is until this season. When he got to Double A, so far, he has a 160 WRC plus, 17 home runs, and nearly the same amount of walks and strikeouts, again, at Double A, just 20 years old. That's ridiculous. He apparently added a bunch of strength heading into this season, and per Aram Layton of Just Baseball, Aram does amazing prospect work. I'm going to shout him out a few times this video. I'm going to link his stuff down there in the description. Arias, his average exit velocity is up 5 miles per hour this season, and his hard hit rate is up 20 percentage points. That was the only missing piece for a player who looks like he has every single tool to be a future all-star at the big league level. Amazingly high floor and now a ridiculously high ceiling. But first, before we get to the next prospect, a word from today's sponsor, Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. And guys, if you're not on Prize Picks yet, here's why you should be. The app is super simple to use. You just pick more or less on a few player stats, lock your lineup, that's it, you're in. No complicated strategies, no confusing interfaces. It really is just you, your sports knowledge, and your picks. And there's so many great lineups to play on Prize Picks right now. Of course, we have tons of baseball lineups and options every single day. Plus, the World Cup has been so much fun on Prize Picks. I have this lineup I'm ready to fire up for England versus Norway on Saturday. I think Haaland's getting in goal. I think Harry Kane's getting in goal. And I do think the English strikers are going to make the Norwegian goalie work a little bit. And if you guys want to follow along with my picks in real time on the app, make sure you follow me right here. But the best part, if you're a new user for Prize Picks, you can get $50 worth of lineups just for playing your first $5 lineup. All you have to do is go down, click the link in my description, download the Prize Picks app, and sign up with the promo code HMA. That's the promo code HMA right down there with the link in my description. And Prize Picks is available in most states, Florida, Texas, California, New York. So download the app, use the promo code HMA, and please, guys, only play if you know you can do so responsibly. Next is Leo DeVries from the A's organization. Incredibly famous prospect, first because he was a #1 international player in the 2024 class, signed for over a $4 million signing bonus. Then because he was at the center of the now famous Mason Miller trade last deadline. Another switch-hitting shortstop. I definitely have a type, but huge power, very advanced hitting approach from a guy where the defense is a little bit more in question, but 15 home runs last year across high A and double A as an 18-year-old was crazy. He's not hitting as well this season, but he's still on pace for huge power production. And while the production is not really there besides the power, the swing decisions are much better than I expected them to be when he made this jump for a full season at double A. Really high zone swing rate, really high zone contact rate, pairs that with very low chase rate. So a really, really, really great foundation for who looks like it's going to be a perennial 30-homer bat at the major league level. But there are some questions as to whether or not he'll stick at shortstop. That pushes him down a tiny bit, but at third base, with this kind of hitting profile, he looks like he's still going to be a star. And I love, even though he's not the fleetest of foot, he's stealing tons of bases. That shows me really good baseball acumen for these guys that are just too advanced for their levels. Last up in the star tier, Josue DePaula from the Dodgers, the only non-shortstop in this tier, which was tough for me to do because I love defensive value. I love guys who play premium positions, and DePaula looks like at best he'll just kind of figure it out in the corner outfield. But in terms of a pure hitter, he's the best we have in the entire minor leagues right now. In Double A at 21 years old, he just turned 21 like 6 weeks ago. He is a 320, 420, 550 triple slash with 15 home runs and 25 stolen bases in 80 games. He's been really young for every level he's played at with the Dodgers, and he has absolutely torched every single level he's been at. This is also his second time in the Futures game. He was the MVP of the Futures game last year because of this exciting late inning home run. And again, it's just a delusionally good profile for a power hitter in the corner outfield. Raw power's off the charts. Contact rate's amazing. Swing decisions are as advanced as you're going to see for a player this young. Crazy barrel control. Tons of pulled fly balls, but also has great power to all fields. I also, again, love the pure baseball sense of a player who's not fast at all, finding this many stolen bases. Just shows me amazing baseball sense when you're better than everybody else on the field. Like, if he just can throw his glove out there and be close to average in the outfield, he's going to stack 4 and 5 win seasons. There's potential 35, 40 home run seasons in his future. Sky's the limit, and he looks like he's going to mash at the big league level one day. Now moving on to the dude tier, and this tier was kind of reserved for the elite starting pitchers. Ryan Sloan, Seth Hernandez, Cade Anderson, and I threw Rainiel Rodriguez in the back of it. But it was really hard for me to rank these 3 starting pitchers. Sloan, Hernandez, and Anderson right now are the trio of elite pitching prospects in baseball. And it's very hard for me to differentiate between them, but they're all so different at the same time. But I wanted to give Sloan the nod at the top because between age level and production currently in the minor leagues, he's the best. He's crushing Double A right now as a 20-year-old, and he has the stuff to back that up for me to be the #1 pitching prospect in baseball. High school draftee a couple years ago, 6'4", 220-pound hoss, big time extension, low arm slot to give him nice carry on a fastball that gets to the upper 90s, can touch triple digits, mostly sits between 95 and 97 miles per hour. After attending the Seattle Mariners School of Velocity, which is just great at getting more fastball velo and these great pitching prospects. But he is a big time splitter. That's been his bread and butter. But that kind of hurt Sloan a little bit, tiny bit heading into the year, because these right-handed changeup, off-speed first guys sometimes run into problems building out the rest of their repertoire. But he's developed a slider that's come along a long way this year. He kind of had this more loose slider, and now he's spliced into having a specific cutter and a specific sweeper. He's slowly finding the feel for both, and again, still dominating the AA level as he's doing it. He's also added a sinker into his mix this season, take some pressure off that fastball. There's just so much happening quickly for a guy who's striking tons of hitters out in AA, not walking many. He has a high ERA, but I don't really care about minor league ERA. To me, he's number one pitching prospect in baseball. But it's very difficult to fight off Seth Hernandez because while he kind of doesn't have the best stats right now, and he probably has the worst command of this elite trio, he absolutely, by far, has the best raw stuff. Drafted as a high schooler 2 years ago, he's a 6'4", 200-pound monster, turned 20 like a few weeks ago. And we have the StatCast data on him from low A, so we can see how good this stuff is. And we have a 97-mile-an-hour fastball that easily stretches into triple digits, but not the best shape. The velocity does carry it for now, though. And usually with power right-handed pitchers like Hernandez, there's always a really nice power slider to go along with that really nice power fastball. But Hernandez has a changeup that has a chance to be one of the most special pitches we've seen in a very long time. It has practically a 15-mile-per-hour difference with his fastball, which is unheard of, especially when it has that big of a difference and it's still difficult to recognize out of the hand. And I think that's because it has a super similar level of arm side run as that fastball, but then it just drops right down off the table and hitters just have no idea what's going on. Potential for an all-time changeup. On top of that, he does have this nice tight slider, curler thing that's really solid against right-handed batters, and he has a distinct two-plane curveball that at low A, he worked to hitters from both sides of the plate. Again, he's still trying to figure out those breaking balls. The changeup is the piece, but all three of those pitches at low A force at least a 40% whiff rate. And there's still no type of command yet, but I'm betting on the athleticism, the physicality, and the stuff for Hernandez to, at some point in the future, be an ace on the Pirates standing right next to Paul Skeens. Then the last guy of this trio, the most pro-ready of this trio by far, definitely the guy with the highest floor, Cade Anderson on the Mariners, just drafted out of LSU last year, third overall pick. They sent him right to AA to start this season, and he's been ignorant. 1.36 ERA, 42% strikeout rate, and only 10 walks in 73 innings. Here's Anderson's prospect savant page as well. It's just so impressive how much he misses bats in the zone without the standout velocity. He's more of a lanky lefty who's definitely not as overpowering or just imposing as either Sloan or Hernandez, but he does have a great shape on a mid to low 90s fastball. And again, from the left side, that plays more like average velocity. And he has legit ride on that. So with a plus shape and average velocity from the right side, that makes that a plus fastball. And again, he's in the Mariners School of Velocity right now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him sitting more like 94, 95 once we get to next year, the year after that. And then past that, again, very polished repertoire, a good slider, a good curveball, a good changeup. He just has a weapon for whatever comes to him. He's got great command around all edges of the plate. And it's ridiculous that he came from college and was basically major league ready right away. He's that advanced. He also is young for being a college pitcher. He just turned 22. I don't know how the Mariners are going to keep him or Sloan off of the major league roster as they push for the playoffs this year. And then last in this tier with the three potential aces, Rainel Rodriguez, catcher in the Cardinals organization. Big-time lightning rod as a prospect, doesn't really look like most other top prospects. He's only about 5'10", he's kind of a little bit stocky, built like a fire hydrant, but stupid power. Again, I'm giving a lot of credit for age to level production and incredible batted ball quality. In 2024, he ripped up the Dominican Summer League at just a historic level. Back in 2024, he ripped up the Dominican Summer League at a legitimately historic level. He was 17 years old and had 10 home runs in 40 games of more walks and strikeouts. Then 2025, he demolished low A, and we have StatCast data behind it. Quick snapshot here of all of his hardest hit batted balls at that level at 18 years old. 111 max exit velocity is nuts. Then he has this outrageously gorgeous prospect savant page to go along with it. And that was all the while he had 13 home runs in 60 games with a 145 WRC+. And Per Aram Layton, once again, shouting out Aram of Just Baseball, a 113.4 max exit velocity at high A this year after his promotion. More recently, he got promoted to Double A and he has hit a bit of a snag there. He's heating up lately. He's keeping his head above water. But the big thing is, when you have power like that at the catcher position, someone who legit looks like a clear 30 homer dude with a high on base percentage and the defensive chops to stick there, you're a fantastic player. That's a 60 value for me. Just saying 60 value, sorry. That's on the scouting scale, 20 to 80. So when you're a 60, you're way, way, way above average. 50 is the number for like major league regular caliber skills. 55 is plus, 60 is plus plus. Raniel is a 60 bat, and he's someone who reminds me a lot of Francisco Alvarez from the Mets when he was coming up as a prospect through the minor leagues. Now for the next tier. There's the tools tier for guys that need polish but have crazy tools. Theo Gillen from the Rays, Alfredo Duno from the Reds, Walker Jenkins from the Twins, Edward Florentino from the Pirates, Caleb Bonehummer from the White Sox, Mike Sirota from the Dodgers, Luis Pena from the Brewers, and Anthony Ianson from the Red Sox. Starting out with Gillen, he was drafted a few years ago. Solid prep bat out of Texas as a shortstop. Got labrum surgery, so the Rays have now moved him to center field, and that's kind of the big part of where his prospect acumen is right now. But again, just to peel back a little bit, mid-first round pick in 2024. Now he's already in Double-A, 20 years old. I'm really buying into the hype. After just a totally solid season last year, when he was at low A, he had a high strikeout rate, a high walk rate, big speed, very little power. Now he's really elevated this season. Mostly in high A, with a bit of a cup of coffee in Double-A. 12 home runs, 30 stolen bases, 170 WRC plus, split between both those levels. But again, most was playing at high A. It only took him 10 games this season, though, to match his home run total from all of last year. And the exit velocities have really jumped. Lots of reports that he's consistently getting over 110 miles per hour now. That's a big deal. That makes me think he's going to be able to sustain plus power. He has plus speed, and it looks like he has good plate discipline, so will run high on base percentage. But this ranking is very dependent on how he's developing as a center fielder. Again, drafted as a shortstop, moved to center field. Taylor's oldest time, we see it very often. Jackson Merrill, more recently AJ Ewing. That's the play. But there are more and more reports coming out that he's advancing there very quickly, again, with great foot speed, getting more polish on his routes, trying to build up those instincts. And he has the athleticism to do it. I'm betting that he keeps getting better there, and we wind up seeing a 30-30 guy with a high on-base percentage with a bit of a low batting average who really has a chance to put himself in position for like 6-win seasons and kind of floors like a 2-3 win player. But again, that's why right now we're here for tools, need polish. It's a star package, and I'm betting on Gillen. Similarly, Alfredo Duno. One of the biggest physical freaks in all the minor leagues right now. 6'3", 250-pound catcher in the Reds organization that can boogie. If he was born in America, I think he'd be on a defensive line somewhere in Division I football. But he wasn't. He's playing baseball. He's a catcher instead. Just got to Double-A as a 20-year-old. Has just mashed at every single level. If you guys can see right here from his Fangraphs page, just crushes the ball. He has battled some injuries over the last few seasons, but even last year when he was at low A, 18 home runs and more walks and strikeouts at 19 years old. And here is great exit velocities to go with it because we love that beautiful StatCast data when players are at low A. And just recently, he was promoted to Double A as well after having 16 home runs and a 130 WRC plus at high A through 65 games. Crushed that level. Happy he moved up. And again, another great note here from Aram Layton that at high A this year, Duno had a 115 mile per hour max exit velocity and a 109 mile per hour 90th percentile exit velocity. As far as major league comps for those numbers, that 115 max compares very well to Pete Alonso and Julio Rodriguez, and that 109 90th compares really well to Kyle Schwarber and Munetaka Murakami. Duno has really, really real power. I'm just keeping a close eye on his swing and miss. It was kind of an issue when he was younger. Then this year, he got it in check at high A. Now it's kind of looking like it's going to be a bit of an issue again at Double A. But he's very patient. He has a good feel for the zone. I think he'll run high OBPs all the way through the major league level. And his defense looks like it's actually going to be quite good. So we have a very powerful catcher who's going to have a really good eye. That to me right there, again, 4 or 5 win seasons if it all comes together. Next up is Walker Jenkins, the Twins organization. Prospect status taking a bit of a hit, some fatigue setting in, but I'm still a fan. He's a physical freak who's battled some injuries over the last few years, like lots of them, ankle, hamstring, shoulder. It's just something about these Twins outfielders, they can't stay healthy. He was once thought to have this like super monstrous power, but it looks like right now it's just becoming regular plus raw power, which again, that's why his status has taken a hit, but he still looks like he's going to be a good power hitter, especially the fact that he's a lefty with a patient approach, really good bat-to-ball skills, consistently high zone contact rates, consistently low swing strike rates. Eric Loganhagen from Fangraphs Legend comped him to a slightly better Jesse Winker. I kind of love that, just being a little bit better across the board than Jesse Winker. But the big difference with Winker is that he was never much of a defender. Jenkins has made huge strides defensively in center field. Super athlete, very fast. It looks like he's going to be able to play that position. Able to is different than will play it because the Twins still have Byron Buxton. And they also have Emmanuel Rodriguez in AAA with Walker Jenkins, who's a stud center fielder. But I've made this mistake in the past. I just made it with trying to evaluate J.J. Weatherholt last year as a guy who could play a premium position, but just won't have the opportunity to. Weatherholt, it would be a great shortstop, but Mason Wynn is one of the best shortstops defensively in the entire league. So I'm going to evaluate Jenkins, just who he is as a prospect. And if there's ever a chance that he gets to play plus defense in center field and be like a 30 home run guy with a high on-base percentage and probably not a bad batting average, that's a stud right there. Then Edward Florentino from the Pirates. Look at this swing from Florentino right now and tell me you guys don't see the young Cody Bellinger. Long, lean, crazy power, big-time speed, left-handed bat with room to fill out, just like physical specimen. Tore low A to shreds last year at 18 years old. Put him on top prospect radar, 10 homers, 29 steals, nearly a 900 OPS through 50 games. Now he's going through a bit of an adjustment period at high A. The strikeout rate has gone up. He's trying to keep his head above water, but he just profiles as a corner outfielder who's going to have big power and big speed. Can definitely see 30 seasons in his future and looks like a really elite, specifically fantasy baseball prospect. Then Caleb Bonemer, infielder in the White Sox organization. Huge breakout this year. Very legit power for a 20-year-old. Lots of reports of elite bat speed. Also runs really high pulled fly ball rates right now in the minor leagues. Hit tool is a bit of a concern, but plus power will carry him. He is playing shortstop more so right now, but it looks like his future is most likely as a third baseman, but he'll definitely hit enough to be a plus guy there. Few guys left in this tier. Next up, we have Mike Sirota, center fielder in the Dodgers organization. Currently, at the time of recording this, on July 9th, Sirota is riding a 70-game on-base streak in the minor leagues. Like, that's absolutely obscene. Really overly patient and a crazy power ceiling. He's a guy that kind of has developed his power ceiling over the last few years. Funny enough, he was in the Red system, and the Dodgers got him for Gavin Lux, which is ridiculous. But with swing and miss concerns, speed, defense, power, on-base percentage, carry profile that, again, with having all of those, looks like he profiles a guy who can be a 3-4 win player at the major league level. Next up is Luis Pena in the Brewers system. Funny enough, he's kind of like the light version of Jesus Made, and they're in the same organization. And that's only because he also has wicked twitch. He's crazy fast, really good raw power, but not the same level of hit tool and definitely not the same level of defensive acumen. That's definitely holding down his ceiling a good bit more, especially compared to Made, who's number one prospect in baseball. There's also been some scary stuff happening with Pena this year, and my heart goes out to him. He fainted in the dugout one game, then had another near fainting experience after being out for a month after that, so hoping everything's okay with him medically and health-wise, but it looks like a really twitchy player who's going to hit enough whenever he does have to move to either second or third base, and he'll instantly be one of the fastest guys in the show. Now, the last guy in the big-time tools tier, Anthony Ianson from the Red Sox organization. Deep mix of great stuff. Also came out of LSU. I think it was last year. I'm pretty sure it was 2025 draft as well. Fastball with just average velocity from the right side, but a really solid cut right shape on it that will keep that pitch plus. Slider and curveball that both grade out as plus as well. And a changeup, that's fine and getting better. He's a classic starting pitcher that has every single tool and just looks like he's going to be able to get to the major leagues kind of sooner than expected out of the draft. Now for the next tier, here we have our quality ball players. Josiah Hartshorn from the Cubs, Kane Scarborough from the Rangers, JoJo Parker, the Blue Jays, Carson Milbrandt, the Marlins, Joseph, give me a second with this name, Zierwa from the Orioles, Ralphie Velasquez from the Guards, Ethan Salas from the Padres, Charlie Condon from the Rockies. Going to start to move a lot faster now, too. We got a lot of names we're still going through. Hartshorn is a huge riser this year. High school pick from the Cubs last year. Gave him a big bonus to come to the Org instead of going to college. Just smashing the ball so far this year. Split between low A and high A through 77 games. He got 15 homers, 280, 400, 500 triple slash. That's with a 15% walk rate and 19% strikeout rate. Just a shockingly advanced hitter for a high school draftee last year. And on top of that, he doesn't chase very much. He makes tons of contact in the zone, and it looks like very legit raw power to go with his very advanced approach. He's also a switch hitter with plus athleticism, profiles like a very solid corner outfielder. Then you got Kane Scarborough, starting pitcher on the Rangers. Feels like just like a near certain starter, which is really hard to say about players at this level, but all the pitchers I put in this tier were that. Big righty with a super legit fastball, quality sweeper. We love that right there. We love that two-pitch mix from a righty. That'll get you a very, very long way. Good command of each, which was a big problem for him last year, but he's made good strides with that so far this year. And we do have reports that he's working on an off-speed pitch. I think it's a splitter. Then he also has this tighter slider cutter thing that I think he's going to start experimenting with soon. Just a guy who, again, really nice floor with ample ceiling on top of that. Next up is JoJo Parker from the Blue Jays organization. He was a first-round pick out of high school last year for them. We got his batted ball data in low A, very, very good. High exit velocities, you guys can see right here from this Baseball Savant screenshot. His Prospect Savant page right here also shows a really well-rounded hitter. He does do that super patient thing that sometimes scares me a little bit with guys in the minors, but I do think this situation where he's just a bit too advanced for low A. He's going to get to high A, possibly double A later this season, and then be challenged. Scouts say they don't think he's going to really stick at shortstop, but as a left-handed bat with advanced feel and plus raw power, I think his bat's going to play anywhere. I'm excited to see how he does when he starts to move up a little bit. Then Carson Milbrandt on the Marlins. The Marlins pitching lab really cooked here with Milbrandt. He's added like 2 ticks of velocity since being drafted, now sits in the mid-90s compared to the low 90s, touches 98 with regularity on a fastball with a good shape. But the big thing that all the prognosticators say about Milbrandt is that he has a very special feel for his breaking balls. He has a hard cutter that's apparently his best breaking ball, and then he has a little bit of deviation from that sits around 90 miles per hour with a bit of a looser slider, but still a tighter pitch that sits around 85 to give those pitches 2 distinct feels. And then he has a sweeper and a curveball that kind of blend together, but it creates this nice two-plane movement kind of thing. Really, really advanced pitch mix for a guy this young, and huge up arrow for how he's developed all that stuff just this year. Now for the crazy name, Joseph Zierwa. I think I got that. I'm sorry, Joe, if I didn't. 6'8 lefty, just a freak in the Orioles organization. Has already added some velo to get himself to around 95, which is plus velo for a lefty, and has a really nice changeup. Big lefties like this who have a plus changeup and good feel for the young age, they never go out of style. They will have very long major league careers, and I see that pretty easily from Jerva. Now we have 3 bats to close this tier out, starting off with Ralphie Velasquez, first baseman, the Guardians organization. Big lefty slugger, knocking on the door of the majors already. 21-year-old, just turned 21, at AAA, and handling it so far. Big-time power, but also a big-time free swinger with some swing and miss concerns. Just looks like your classic strong side platoon, first base slugger type. Then maybe the most divisive prospect we've had in the last decade in baseball, Ethan Salas from the Padres. He was a child that the Padres just put into pro ball right away, 17 years old, A-ball, and hit really well initially, but has not been able to sustain any kind of offensive firepower besides that. But the big thing that kind of drags everyone back to Salas is that defensively, he has the look of one of those like really, really special catchers, like one of those franchise-defining catchers who commands a pitching staff, blocks everything you don't run on, just has that like old-school catcher feel to him. And I do think that that's going to carry him, and maybe that makes me a little bit lower on him. I see him still sneaking back up in the top 10 list on some big prospect rankings out there. It's hard for me to do that when the bat is very in question. Like, it might take him like 4 or 5 years in the major leagues to become a plus hitter. Like, I can see Ethan Salas breaking out like in 8 years when he's 28 years old, because he's still 20 and he's looking like he's close to a promotion, or is the big part of the Padres' next big trade package this season. But catcher is a really interesting position in terms of their aging curve, and we see guys like Cal Raleigh take a few years to blossom at the major league level. Dylan Dingler took him a few years to do it this year. It just kind of happens that way sometimes, and if Salas is just one of the few best defensive catchers in the league, I probably am underrating him, but I just need to see more from the bat. And then last on this list, Charlie Condon, classic masher. I kind of feel bad. Condon gets some undue hate because of where he was drafted last year and the guys that were drafted around him and how good they all are at the major league level so far. But again, classic masher, first base corner outfielder type. Being a righty kind of hurts him, but also if he just hits, it won't hurt him really at all. He's had some hand injuries. Big-time college superstar. I think he'll eventually just be a 30 home run guy at the major league level. Now the really exciting but slightly riskier starting pitcher tier. All starting pitchers here. And we have Kendrick Churio from the Royals, Liam Doyle from the Cardinals, Jamie Arnold from the Athletics, Tyler Bremner from the Angels, Nolan Perry from the Blue Jays, Cam Caminiti from the Braves, and Gage Wood from the Phillies. Churio is an 18-year-old who's holding it down high A, which is completely insane. I want to give him an extra nod for the age level, but being an 18-year-old pitcher, there's so much risk in front of you, but he could shoot up tons of rankings really, really soon. Legit mid to upper 90s fastball with a real changeup and a real curveball. He looks like a great starting pitcher, but 18-year-old pitchers make me nervous. Liam Doyle, star in college baseball last year, number 5 pick to the Cardinals. Wicked fastball, but still trying to develop other things off that. He's just got a really weird arm angle. I don't know what's going to happen. There's true reliever risk. Jamie Arnold from the Athletics, another first rounder from last year. The A's are challenging him. They threw him to Double A right away. He's got an unreal, wacky slider from the left side, but the command's not that great. He needs to build up the repertoire and get better command, or there is actually some reliever risk there. Doyle and Arnold were stars last year, and they were taken very highly in a draft that looks like it's already producing some really impressive position players. So I really want to see how these guys develop their repertoires. I'm excited to see them get an inning of fast work in the futures game. Then you got Tyler Bremner on the Angels. He might, besides Seth Hernandez, have the best changeup in the minor leagues. But like I said at the top, I'm always just a little bit scared of these right-handed changeup guys. They have trouble developing other things. They're pronators instead of supinators. The supinators, like you're holding a bowl of soup, they're the ones who can get better spin, get sliders. Pronators, their wrist goes the other way when they release the ball. Kind of hard to develop stuff, but his fastball is legit, so I guess that does help the floor. Worst case scenario, you have an elite reliever or a good back-end starter here. Nolan Perry from the Blue Jays, guy to watch. Big-time rise this year. He's one of the guys I'm watching the most in this futures game, just getting better fast. A fastball, a slider, a curveball, they're all looking plus. He messes around with a splitter as well, and this year, big jump, tons more strikeouts, way fewer walks, just got to Double A. I'm excited to see what the Blue Jays pitching lab can cook up with him. Cam Caminiti, just a really high floor starting pitcher in the Braves organization, which I guess means he shouldn't be in this tier, but I didn't think he had a high enough ceiling to be in the tier above, but just a really solid fastball and slider and a changeup that's right about there to be an impact pitch, which as a lefty, if you have all three of those weapons, you're going to be a mid-rotation dude forever. I just need to see a little more from that changeup. And then the last guy in this tier, Gage Wood from the Phillies org, first-round pick out of Arkansas last year, just got to Double A. He's a special kind of prospect because you just don't have fastballs like Woods that grow on trees. 96, 97 miles per hour with legit carry will dominate hitters at the top of the zone, will dominate hitters in the zone. Like, it's a fastball that can completely carry prospect profile. Curveball was his big pitch when he was in college with Arkansas. Now he's showing a little bit more sliders. Crazy relief pitcher risk here because there isn't a true secondary that's defined itself yet, and the command is all over the place, but it's like a 70 grade fastball, a wow fastball, and one that, again, gives Wood sky-high ceiling, but with a low floor. Now the final tier here. These are guys that are outside, I think, every single top 100 prospect list, but these are guys I'm ready to watch. These are guys who I think will be top 100 prospects next year. These are guys that you can see their names thrown around this trade deadline. Very exciting list here. Starting off with Kevin Alvarez, outfielder in the Astros organization. He's an 18-year-old left-handed bat who's already in low A. Plus power, fine speed, potentially a plus hit tool. He's someone I'm excited to watch. Miguel Sime in the Nationals organization. Freak. Just a hoss, 6'4", 240. He struck out J.J. Weatherholt in the spring breakout game with a 101 mile per hour fastball. Regularly gets there 102, but he just doesn't really know where the ball's going. Cash Mayfield, big lefty with a solid changeup in the Padres organization. Roldy Brito, fun spec prospect in the Rockies organization. I know Fangraphs loves him. Handling low A at 19 years old, tooled up, stupid fast, playing a lot of second base and center field right now, kind of in the bit of an AJ Ewing mold. I can see him rising up like that for the next few years. And the last one, another Astro, their first round pick last year, Xavier Nayens, big lumbering first baseman, corner outfield type. Ridiculous patience. Like, he's on a 3-week stretch right now where he's running a near 30% walk rate, which is obscene. He also has a 116 mile per hour max exit velocity under his belt. He's as true of a 3 true outcomes guy as you're ever going to see. Now, that's the end of the tiers, but I also just want to mention every other guy playing in the Futures game name, just so I can say I mentioned every single guy in the Futures game in this video. Max Anderson, near ready, second baseman, kind of low ceiling, high floor in the Tigers organization. Nelson Rada for the Angels, classic outfielder. They're just pushing up fast, but the tools are a little bit in question. Nathan Flewelling, he's a quality left-handed bat who's in the Rays organization. I just don't know if he's going to stick a catcher. Blake Mitchell, Royals organization. He is a quality defensive catcher. If you could mash Flewelling and Mitchell together, you'd have one of the best prospects in baseball. Gavin Killen from the Giants org, fine shortstop. Ike Irish from the Orioles, classic power hitting first baseman. Kason Cunningham from the Diamondbacks, hit tool shortstop. I don't know if he's going to stay a shortstop. Dakota Jordan from the Giants, speedy toolsy outfielder. Weyu Pan from the Phillies, big righty with not so good command so far, pro ball. Mason McGuire, big right-handed pitcher in the Cubs org. Mark Sun, righty with a changeup, needs a breaker because he doesn't have great velocity. Ryan Clifford in the Mets org, once upon a time, was the centerpiece of the trade for Justin Verlander. Great power, but the strikeout rate is way too high so far this year. And then Ben Grabel, a reliever in the Yankees organization. But that's it. That's all 52, 53 prospects in the Futures game. I love this event. I was really happy to do this video. Hope you guys got a lot out of this video. I don't do a lot of prospect stuff in this channel, but the times I've done in the past, it's done really well. So if this does well, I'm going to try to fold more prospect stuff in as the season goes on. So thank you guys so much. See you next time.